Good morning, everybody, or whatever time you're watching this. Hello, it's morning for me. Um, I have been. I still play One Piece. I know, right? I do a lot of Dragon Ball content. I still play One Piece. I still enjoy the One Piece format to some extent, mainly because I'm playing, like one of the best decks, if not the best deck. I don't know what the best deck is, but I recently have won 3 tournaments in a row with Sakazuki, and so I just wanted to share my profile. Does anybody care? I don't actually know. Sakazuki is the deck that a ton of people are playing, and every deck list looks very similar. I don't know. If you care about Sakazuki, I don't know. Thanks for clicking on the video. Anyway, um, I've won 3 tournaments in a row, and I think I'm taking this to the regionals this format. I think the deck's crazy strong. And I think my list is incredibly standard. Maybe one card is non-standard, and I'll kind of explain my reasoning as to why I like this one card over this other card, and that's really all there. And I guess we can just get into the profile. All right, yeah, Sakazuki leader. The big thing about this guy right now is that dude, I think Sakazuki's like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, bro. Like, and I say that if you don't know what I mean, it's because like, bro, you just do so much for free compared to other decks. Like other decks pay energy, play cards, do this, do that, and then you're like, free play, free play, free play, removal, removal, removal. It's just incredibly frustrating to play against, which is why I'm playing it because I don't want to play against it. But obviously, I play a lot of mirror matches, so we'll start with Fort Tashigi. Look at the top 5. Add a navy. This is super strong. It just helps with the consistency of the deck. I'm always finding my removals now. My removal spells like Light Sword or Hound Blaze. Before, one of the issues with the deck, I wouldn't even call it an issue because the deck was always hyper consistent. But sometimes you would have games where you just couldn't find the Hound Blaze, and now we play so many more copies of Houndblaze that I just feel like I always have it, whether it's the Light Sword or the Houndblaze or Tashigi or brand new. Like I always have a way to get to Houndblaze. I always have removal early game, and it's just insane. For Suru, it's a 2K and it's a 2K counter as well as having a pretty decent effect. I've played it from hand plenty of times. I've played it from drop with Gecko Moria plenty of times. Just a great card. Double Helmeppo. The only reason I'm not playing one is because I really want to see it. The obvious play is Helmeppo Lucci off of Gecko Moria, and a lot of games I just find myself if when I did play one at first, and I just found myself never seeing it. So I bumped it to 2. It also has counter value. One of the problems with my initial build when I started the format was I didn't have any counter value. So this version, I tried to maximize counter value as high as possible because I kept like having to take 5Ks because I'd have like a few cards in hand that just couldn't counter. So I wanted to maximize counter value. So 2 Helmeppo. If you don't see Helmeppo, you can still grab Suru off of Gecko Moria, and she's only slightly worse. She does 2, he does 3. So it might come up, but it might not. Both are fun options, And of course, Helmeppo is a bigger body, which means he can potentially swing. For brand new, this was like, an insane card. Just search, search, search. Even though now it feels better. It used to be like, if I brand newed and I put a Lucci in the trash, I'd be like, oh man, there's one Lucci gone. Now I'm like, oh great, Lucci's right where I want him now because of Gecko Moria. Insane. Only 3 Hina. No counter value, but this card is absolutely insane. I think we know. I don't think I need to say much about it. We play 4 Rebecca. This card is nuts. It's counter value, plus it draws a card from your trash, plus it plays a card like Hina, plus, plus, plus. Again, I don't think I need to explain it. Only 3 Lucci. So the reason I play 3 is for multiple reasons. Now we have Light Sword. So we still play multiple versions of this effect through this card, which means I can cut this down to 3. And then sometimes seeing one copy is as good as seeing multiples because of Gecko Moria. So you can play Gecko, bring out Lucci, and kill 2 things, and then Lucci can die, and you can just bring it back again. So even though I cut it down to 3, I'm seeing it more often than before, and I have more effects than before, if that makes sense, right? For Borsellino, I think this card is crazy. Against something like Gecko Morio, which is one of the new decks in the format, they really only have like one option against it. Against yellow, They can 2 million volt armor it, but they can't reject it, and they can't like KO it with Gadatsu. Like they can't KO it with random effects. So not only does it have counter value again, which is very important, but this card itself is actually just insane. I find myself just hiding behind these like multiple games. I try to play multiple every game, like everything. A lot of my playstyle centers around Borsalino. I just think it's a crazy card, which is why I played it for. And and if I don't need it, I can counter it or discard it with leader. Only one Kuzan. Every single time I've played Kuzan for like the past 2 to 3 weeks, it dies immediately. Okay, so when you play test against Gecko Moria, when you play test against Sakazuki, the Kuzan never survives. Like it dies immediately, whether it goes to trash or bottom deck. It just doesn't work. The only time it survives is against yellow. So obviously yellow is very good. Both Katakuri and Enel I think are good decks. And Fortress Yamato as well. Like anyway, like yellow doesn't have insane removal. Like against Gecko Moria, like this gets removed for free. Against Sakazuki, this gets removed for free. But against yellow, they have to like reject it. They have to hit a Nami off a life, which I can kind of control when I play this to not get Nami'd. Sometimes it happens. It is what it is. But you know they don't really play Thunderbolt anymore, so they don't have a great answer to this. Yamato can like rest it and attack into it. But anyway, this is mainly just a flex card. This was originally, I think, a pudding. Blue pudding, I think, is one of the best cards ever printed, but we're playing a Kuzan because yellow is very hard. And I've had games where this has survived 2 to 3 turns against yellow, and it makes clearing Big Bombs 7 and 10 very easy because, like, clearing a 10-drop Big Bomb is very difficult unless you have a Kuzan, because basically it goes from a 10-drop to a 5-drop with Kuzan and leader effect. And at that point, removing a 5-drop is not hard for Sakazuki, but removing a 10-drop can be hard. So this guy survives, and yellow is a little bit easier. Virgo's your other 2K of choice. It's searchable through all your Navy cards, and it's you can grab it back with Rebecca because it's a 5-drop. So it's basically triple searchable, and I've never played it once. I don't think I ever will. If I play it, I'm super losing the game. One Brook over Borsalino. There's a couple things that Brook does better, and there's a couple things that Borsalino does better. This is probably the only non-standard card I'm playing. And let's get into it. So Brook number 1 is not a Navy. So Borsalino is a Navy. He gets searched with Tashigi. He gets searched with Brand New. So this card is not searchable. Borsalino is also 8 power. Brook is only 6. 8 power is insane. You can just swing with Borsalino and pressure. Swinging with 6 is not as much pressure. It's just not as scary, and it's a lot easier to attack than a Borsalino as well. Also, his level in like mirror matches is only 6, which again is much easier to remove than 7. Not like a lot, but it is slightly easier. Now, a couple things he does better. So first we have to read his first effect. Trash, it says on play, choose one. Trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. That doesn't say KO. So it gets around effects like Borsalino that says this card cannot be KO'd, so you can hit Borsalino. Kikunojo is another one that says on KO, if your opponent has 3 or less life, gain 1 life. So this can hit Kikunojo without triggering its on KO. Same thing with Parasparrow. Same thing with any effect that says on KO. There's 100 of them, so this gets around that. Also, it's a 6 cost, which means going second, I can just play it hard on turn 3. So this is a direct response to my opponent's 5-drop. So my opponent goes, okay, 5 Don, play. Let's say he plays Gadatsu, right? Okay, play Gadatsu. I go, okay, my turn, swing, reduce Gadatsu, play Broke, kill Gadatsu. I lose nothing to do that, and I establish a body. Whereas, like, going second, if I have Borsalino is kind of useless. But I do think Brook has a lot of utility going second. Going first, you can always Great Eruption Brook. So if your opponent, this happened, I played against Reiju, and my opponent played, I think, Ichiji, the red one or whatever. I was like, swing leader, Great Eruption, Brook, put Ichiji in your drop. Now, of course, that's where Ichiji's fine with being in drop because they can recycle it, but point is, I was able to do that because Brook is a 6-drop and not a 7-drop. So there's a few benefits to Borsalino. There's a few benefits to Brook. I really like Brook because I don't know. I just really like it. I do think sometimes Borsalino is better, um, because a lot of people want to play Borsalino on 7, because they know their opponent's going to play Moria on 8, and Borsalino kind of competes with the Moria board better, but whatever, right? I don't care. Um, I like Brook. I think it's very solid. Borsalino, obviously, also a good card, but I only play one anyway. Neither of them have counter value. Oh, yeah, this guy can also be grabbed off of Rebecca. So on 10 Don, you can play Rebecca, grab Brook, play Brook. I think that's also relevant. I think it could be relevant in a tournament. We're playing Brook, bro. I think Brook is really good. For Gecko, this is a stupid card. I don't know. I don't know. What can I say about this card that hasn't been said a million times? This card is dumb. It probably should have been never printed. I don't know. Um, there's a lot of games. If you see 2 of this, the game is over completely. There's a lot of games where you see 1 of this, the game is over completely. And because your deck is hyper consistent, you're usually seeing it. So that's it, right? I don't know much more I can say about that. For a Great Eruption, it just is. We know it's great. We've been playing it all format. Only 2 Ice Age. I don't know. I only play 2, bro. I feel like 2 is a fine number. Sometimes it's like against yellow, I'm like, man, I wish I had another Ice Age here. But like, even if I played 3, I'd be like, well, am I even going to see it? I guess maybe. I think 2 is fine. I don't really care. And then 4 Helmblaze and 2 Lightsword. The Helmblaze is like better sometimes, and then Lightsword is better sometimes. There's a lot of scenarios where Lightsword is the nuts, and then there's a lot of scenarios where Helmblaze just wins you the game. So, but more often than not, they do the same thing, which is remove an early game drop, keep the board clear early. If my opponent has a relatively empty board and I Gecko Moria, the game is over. If my opponent has cards on the board and I Gecko Moria and I can clear the board, the game is probably over. So we want to play. I think 6 is a great number. You could do this. You could cut a Lightsword for a 3rd Ice Age if you really wanted to, but I don't know. I think 6 is a great number because I always want to see them. I'm even doing stuff like on turn 4, I like play Helmeppo from hand, Helmblaze. On turn 5, not turn 5, 4 Dawn. On 5 Dawn, I go play Hina from hand, Helmblaze, like Lightsword. Like I do that all the time now because I just know that if I can keep my opponent's board empty, by the time I drop Gecko, like the game's over, bro. Like the game is super over. If I have a relatively clear board, and let's say 2 to 3 life, and I get to Gecko, like the game is just over. Like the deck's actually mad simple. Let's see. I feel like I've played every matchup. I've played the Mirror. I played Gecko Moria, Katakuri, and now Purple Luffy, Reiju, Perona. I don't know. I haven't lost at all. Obviously it's locals, or I went to a box tournament, like a win a box. I won a box at OPO6, a couple locals. I think this is like 3 tournaments where like I've um just been. I don't know. The deck is just crazy. I really think the deck is just carrying me, to be honest. I'm not like an amazing One Piece player or anything. So the deck is just doing all the work. And then what's a hard? I think Katakuri can be difficult. I think like Katakuri has like the one of the highest. Like, okay, let me think about this real quick. So Sakazuki and Katakuri have the 2 highest power levels in the format. Both of the decks can do a lot of stuff for free. Both of the decks have really powerful bomb cards. Both of the decks have are pretty consistent at this point. Katakuri is like 50 to 60% triggers and 30% bombs. So more than likely it's going to hit multiple triggers in a single game. More than likely it's going to hit multiple bombs in a single game. So it gets a lot of free value off of just playing the game through its natural playstyle. Same thing with Sakazuki. You get a lot of free value by just doing random stuff, right? You just do Sakazuki things and you get free value. It's pretty crazy. There are other flex spots you could play if you want to play Sabo, if you want to play Pudding, if you want to play more Kuzan. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I think if you cut 1 or 2 cards for 1 or 2 cards, your deck is really going to perform the same way. I think it's really a lot about Gecko Moria, right? Like, it really doesn't matter if I play double Kuzan or not because I want to see Gecko Moria more than I want to see anything else. So like, the flex spots don't matter. Sometimes Sabo comes up and you're like, wow, Sabo's insane. Sometimes Sabo does nothing. I've tested Sabo. Sometimes Pudding auto wins you the game. – Sometimes it does nothing. Stuff like that just doesn't really matter. But Very good. Yeah, Sakazuki's broken. Let me know what you guys think, or not. I don't know if anyone cares about Sakazuki, but thank you for watching.